Have you ever stopped to think about what the future is actually made of? It's not just built, it's woven. From the super lightweight carbon fiber that helps get planes off the ground to the amazing fabrics in the clothes you're wearing right now, there's this one company, Toray, that's literally weaving the materials that are shaping our world. So today, we're going to unravel the threads of this materials science giant and see how they do it.
Okay, so you've got to check out this quote from Toray's president because it gives us the perfect way to think about this whole thing. So in weaving, right, you have warp threads. Those are the strong foundational threads that give the whole thing its structure. For Toray, that's their core philosophy. It never changes. Then you have the weft threads, which are woven in and out to create the pattern and color. Those are the new ideas, the adaptations to a changing world. It's how those two things work together that creates the final fabric. It's a fantastic metaphor.
And believe me, that foundational warp thread of innovation, it's been incredibly strong for a long, long time. I mean, we're talking about a company that was synthesizing nylon 6 way back in 1941. Then in the 70s, they started making their game-changing Toray carbon fiber, and by 1990, it was so strong it was being used in Boeing jets. And their partnership with Uniqlo, that just shows how they've stayed right at the cutting edge, weaving these high-tech materials right into our daily lives. This isn't just a history, it's a history of major breakthroughs.
So, how exactly is Toray weaving its future? Well, we're going to follow three main threads. First, their incredible drive for innovation. Then, their deep commitment to sustainability. And finally, and this is so important, their focus on their people. Then we'll see how all of those threads come together to create the company's strong financial fabric.
Let's start with that first thread, and maybe the most important one, innovation. For Toray, this isn't just some buzzword. Nope. It's a really disciplined process built on three main pillars: a massive investment in R&D, a practically impenetrable intellectual property strategy, and a huge push for what they call digital transformation, or DX.
Now, this is where you can really see their strategy in action. Just look at where the money goes. That huge chunk of the pie, 38%, goes to corporate R&D. That's the big picture, foundational research, not just making small tweaks to things they already sell. They're making a long-term bet on discovering the next big thing. This is the real engine room for their future growth.
And what's the payoff for all that R&D spending? Well, it's this. For 13 years in a row, Toray has been #1 in something called patent deterrence. Basically, it means their collection of patents and intellectual property is so strong that it actually scares off competitors from even trying to mess with them. It's not just a defense, it's like a giant strategic moat around their business. This lets them invest in that long-term research without worrying so much about being copied. And to keep that edge, they're weaving digital tech into everything with a really clear two-step plan. Step 1 is all about business process reform, using AI and data to make what they already do smarter and way more efficient. Step 2, now this is the really cool part, is technology innovation. They're using things like computer simulations and materials informatics to speed up the R&D process itself, cutting the time it takes to develop new materials from years down to just months. It's a huge deal.
All right, so let's move to the next thread, which is woven right into that innovation we were just talking about, sustainability. For a lot of companies, sustainability is just about compliance or managing costs. Toray sees it completely differently. They look at the world's biggest challenges, things like climate change and water shortages, and they see their biggest business opportunities.
And this isn't just some fluff. It's baked right into their official mission statement. They are directly tying their company's purpose to solving global problems. That's not just a feel-good line for a press release. That's a market strategy. It tells their entire R&D department what to focus on. Find society's biggest pain points, because solving them creates the most value.
And what's so smart here is how pragmatic they are about it. Take climate change. On the one hand, they see huge opportunities. Making planes and cars lighter with their carbon fiber means less fuel is burned. That's a growth market. But on the other hand, they're also very aware of the risks. If they don't lower their own emissions, they'll face higher costs and could lose business. It's a strategy that's driven by both opportunity and necessity.
And their work in water treatment is the perfect example of this mission in action. I mean, water scarcity is one of the biggest challenges our planet faces. Toray's high-tech reverse osmosis membranes are a critical piece of the puzzle in desalination and water purification plants all over the world. It's a perfect case of their advanced materials providing a real solution to a global crisis, and in the process, creating a really successful business.
Of course, all these innovative materials and brilliant strategies, they don't just invent themselves, right? They're created by people. And that brings us to our third crucial thread, the people thread. Toray is putting a ton of effort into fostering a very specific, very powerful corporate culture.
Swing for the fences. Just think about that for a second. How often do you hear that kind of message coming from the very top of a huge company? The president is basically giving everyone permission to take big, ambitious risks. It sends a clear signal that trying to hit a home run, even if you strike out, is valued way more than just playing it safe. It's a culture that's designed to fight against stagnation.
And this isn't just talk, either. They're actually putting systems in place to make this culture a reality. They hold these live-streamed Real Talk events to open up a direct line of communication between employees and the top brass. And get this, they created something called the First Steps Award, which specifically celebrates taking on a challenge, no matter how it turns out. They are actively rewarding the swing, not just the home run.
This all rolls up into a bigger strategy they call people-centric management. And the core idea is really simple. A successful company and happy, thriving employees are two sides of the same coin. They're rolling out real programs like 360-degree feedback for managers, they're pushing for more diversity, and they're training thousands of their people in digital skills to make sure the whole workforce is ready for whatever comes next.
Okay, so we've looked at the individual threads: innovation, sustainability, and people. So now for the big question. What does the finished fabric actually look like? Let's pull back and look at the financial results that are woven from all this strategy.
So if you look at their 2024 performance, you can see the massive scale of their traditional businesses. I mean, fibers and textiles brought in over yen 1 trillion. But look closer. Remember that sustainability thread we talked about? Check out the water treatment segment. Yeah, it's smaller in total revenue, but its operating margin is 11%. That's way higher than their bigger divisions. This is the proof, right here in the numbers. That strategy of turning global challenges into profitable business, it's not just working, it's working really, really well.
And they are absolutely doubling down. This number, 400 billion yen, that's their revenue target just from their resource recycling businesses by 2030. That is a massive bet that the future of materials science isn't just about making things stronger or lighter, but about making them circular. It's a crystal clear signal of where they think the big growth is going to come from.
So, at the end of the day, Toray's story is one of patiently weaving together this strong, consistent philosophy with these dynamic threads of innovation, sustainability, and a culture that encourages big swings. It really shows how these materials, which are often hidden from sight, form the very fabric of our modern world. And it leaves you with a really interesting question to think about. As this science gets more and more advanced, what's the next huge global challenge that companies like Toray should be trying to solve?